today, we've got the #1 rogue, which is Veswa. Oh, sorry. Whoa, hang on, what are we watching here? So the roll out of spawn is...
All you need to do is capture the mission area. Got it?
I still felt a little fast. It's the block, shoulder slam, into a shift, using it immediately so it pops the cooldown, into the E, into the slam. You should have all your cooldowns back by the time the fighting actually starts. But yeah, you just hit all your buttons other than the F1. The F1 is a 30-second cooldown, so that one's not really worth using. But it actually gives you this little bit of... Oh, you're gonna get poked out by Phoenix here. But I was gonna say, but it lets you get a little aggressive and actually get onto their side early, because Rogue really, really sucks versus poke. So it actually engages with the slam. Or sorry, not the slam, the shoulder slam. Into shift, and then that's it. So I think Groot gets hooked, I think, by the Bucky? Yeah, he gets hooked. Turn to help punish the Groot. Doesn't actually... Wait, actually, I think it did attempt to use the grab. Yeah, it does attempt to use the grab on him, but he gets bubbled. And just basically CCs him back into the enemy team to help punish that one early pick. I'm curious for future fights, how do you engage, though? Because, like, that one, the Bucky ends up getting something, so it's like, you know... What? Oh, just walks right past, starts diving backline. Kills the Mantis all by herself on the corner. Are they running triple over there? They are running triple. That Mantis was just really off to the side. Kills the Raccoon, too. I feel bad. When I was first playing Rogue, like the first day, there was some guy in my chat that was like, I think Rogue's a dive hero. And I was like, there's no way. Like, you have to blow all your abilities to make the character work. And they're like, no, trust. And now I feel bad because I think that guy actually was onto something. I let Lord solo tanking 2 days after she dropped. She's a lot better than people think. I don't think that's true. But she is weak. When a character like this drops and has 19 abilities, yeah, she has the potential and the tools to be good. And the day will come where she's probably going to be good. But right now, you just get value out of other stuff. Either the cooldowns are too long, or doesn't hit as hard enough to like make those cooldowns worth using. I don't think damage is the right answer though. I think you gotta give it like another like 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, just to like see if maybe there's something that develops where people figure out like, oh shit, there was actually like this playstyle that works. That's typically the smarter, safer answer. But it's the more boring answer, realistically. Well, yeah, that's another good point. Where she has the Gambit team up. If the Gambit team up is available, she's very good. But Gambit's banned every game because that character is the most busted character in the whole game. Waiting for everybody to come back, probably. I don't know if they already all come back yet. A little damage to the wall. Interesting, doesn't actually kill the walls. Maybe I just spend too much time shooting them or trying to kill them. When just like hit them on the way by to get value. So when Rocket Ult comes in, everyone shoots the Phoenix, but I think it's still hit because the Rocket Ult died. No, it didn't hit. It's just everyone shot the Rocket Ult that fast. You know, this is one of those fights where it's like, I recognize a lot of people on both teams. But even with all like their cooldown usage, like running in, getting all the attention right there, right? Like forced everybody back. I still feel like there's better picks than Rogue right now. You know what I mean? That was nice. I think that if you get people on the flanks, like the Mantis earlier in the game, the Bucky right there, you catch those 1v1s, that's where she probably thrives the most. But not at all in like the brawly fights. The brawly fights don't go too well for her. I'm guessing staying up here or starting up here. Either one gets some nice valuable info, same reason why the Groot's on his wall over there. But also maybe catch another one of those supports or DPS off angling again. Maybe the Phoenix. Oh, maybe catch him. Oh, actually setting up for the Groot ult. That's something I'm gonna be real with you, unless you have comms in your games. And you know, I have a newfound you know, I'm gonna let this fight first, finish it, and I'll finish my thought on that one. I think unless you have those comms coming in, you're gonna not be able to do that kind of a play too often. But it's nice to have. Also, you could be the person who comms. I've noticed more and more that people are calming less and less in ranked games. And it is actually super valuable. Interesting. I think they're gonna be able to kill through that. Yeah, they're gonna kill through that. I don't know about that ult. I was gonna say I have a newfound respect for the poor GM solo queue players. I had a rough set of games the other day, and I ended up dropping back in there for a little while. And oh my god, I think I played 25 games, and I didn't have a single game where there was actually good comms. Every comm, if it existed, was just whining and moping and people getting angry. And when there wasn't comms, everyone was just silent. And it was silent most games. I believe Rogue can only be as good as her team. Kinda. I mean, it's true and not true, right? Like every character takes skill and has skill expression. If you got pro player number 3, 4, 5, 1, you drop him in an average game, he's probably gonna know how to engage backline so much more and get tons of value, even on like a not as good character, versus someone who's playing an objectively better one. But when it's much more even, I think that's true. And if you've noticed the target priority, it's actually not a lot of times fighting frontline. It's actually kind of ignoring frontlines. Even in the beginnings of the fights, when they do engage frontlines, they're always looking to leave. Whether they just walk right by them or what. At least in my own games, I found that the way to punish Rogue when she does that is like turning and shooting her. But in ranked, that doesn't happen that often. That's tough. I think Groot might have just whiffed. Steals the Groot's powers. So you get the tank. You get the extra health from the Groot. Doesn't actually use the wall, though. Interesting. I wonder if the Groot wall is just not worth using. Because you don't actually get the passive from it, because you don't have Groot's passive. So, like, you don't get the extra, you don't get the CC immunity. You don't get the shield for doing damage, I believe. So maybe it's just not worth even using the wall unless you're walling them off. And all right, so this is gonna be one of those fights where you're forced to poke a little bit, right? You gotta walk into their tanks, but you're just gonna walk right over them. Yep. Actually, just chooses not even to fight them at all. Goes straight for the rocket amp, and I think probably gonna die here. Ooh, really low HP. Gets out though. Oh, still dies in the end, but I don't think that was just one of those things. So interesting there. They're trying to go up and over the top so the ult reaches the back line, because even if you get one of the supports for even 1 second, you stop their ults from going off. In case they did have ult coming up, just because they managed to grab the invis right away, it would have stopped them from it. They don't know though? They probably do know. They're probably ult tracking. I'm not ult tracking right now, even though I can see it at the top because I'm not mid-game, but a lot of these players are ult tracking too. But it doesn't mean you're always accurate, right? Like you might think someone's like has ult and they're only 80 to ult or 70 to ult, or the opposite. You might think they're 70 to ult and they have it. Are they just gonna let tanks walk through then go? Or are they gonna go all the way around? JK, Daredevil goes early. That's the go button. Daredevil goes early. That's the go button. Daredevil opens the door. Rogue just kind of cleans up using all of her abilities. It does look like Rogue is much more of a dive character than a brawl character, or like even a hybrid. I don't even think Rogue can brawl at all. Even though her kit looks like a brawl kit, it just doesn't play that way. One more, same guy. So actually goes for the early engage, but has to run. Gets poked out really, really, really hard. This is where I feel like I've struggled actually a lot playing Rogue, is on these like defensive plays where you can't engage their backline and you can't brawl either. Where I've learned from this already is the best engage tool is the kick, but the best movement tool in general has been the, not the shift, it's the shoulder bash. So I actually invis kind of early here on the defensive side. Wait, was it on the defensive side? So the Gruel in is actually pretty decent. Try to survive the mag ults. Oh my god, everyone's exploding. Jumps into the Phoenix Soul. I kind of like that play. Has their own ult. They're gonna probably look for it here. The good thing to notice from them is basically they were waiting for the mag ults and everyone else to ult dump, wait for their team to sustain in, and then also when it was running in was looking for their backline. So he actually catches the Loki here. The Loki was coming up on ult. Unless he goes the other way. He might go the other way real quick. Yeah, he went the other way. Oh, and he dies for it. Let me see. Yeah, so he backs away the opposite direction to try to build up the rest of that ult, and then just gets killed by the Phoenix. So it actually forces the Loki to try to run from the circle to try to build ults or try to get the ult back, so that they could survive the engage. But it forces like an unfavorable position. Rogue's ult is insane. Like I do slightly worry for the day that when they do buff Rogue and she actually becomes like kind of meta, it's gonna be scary. We were talking in the previous VOD, didn't use the Groot wall. Actually used it here though, because it actually cuts their back of their team off. But they get support ulted, so it's not really gonna matter. Tries to back away to survive, dies to the spam. Yeah, if you don't have your own support ult in a lot of those fights, you kind of just, what do you do? So this third point I'm actually kind of interested in, because like, how are you going to engage them here? So they are going to go up top. Lucky? Nah, I don't think that's lucky. I think it's more of... So it doesn't happen to grab the invis right away? Does she have to jump away? Oh no. Oh, she just didn't have it in time. It was close. They are engaging though that way though. Like they're engaging that hard to try to stop support ults from going off. They just didn't even have to do it that time because they were only 97. But it's still good habits. Do you know Invis shield makes it so Invis doesn't get affected by Rogue ult? Well, if you're behind the shield, yeah, I'm not surprised at that because the shield's gonna block LOS. But the shield in general, what doesn't do that? I'm assuming most shields block Rogue's ult. Dude, these fights like this where everything's just chaos, Rogue must love. A good Rogue loves those types of fights because they're not getting focused very hard. And that was one of those cases where they happened to look back to not only disengage, but also saw the mag was back there, and I was like, oh. Jesus, CC. Actual CC simulator of doom and gloom. Has ult again. Jumps in the backline. I think that was another good example of where they're looking for their backline to see if they can grab them with the ult to stop the ults from going off, but just didn't see him. Just didn't see the invis before the engage went off, and so doesn't actually stop the ults from going off. I think personally, now obviously who the f am I critiquing the rank 1? I think in some of these fights it's probably worth waiting ulting a little bit just to see where the invis is or where their supports are. If they had looked to the right a little bit more, they might have seen that the invis was over there, and then ulting into the invis, stopping the ult might have been a better play. But I also see the vision of going for both DPS, right? And then hoping that you're gonna catch all of them together. I think that might become an optimization thing as the game develops, potentially. But also sometimes just ulting and going is genuinely better than sitting there and doing nothing. Also, what the f was that combo? Oh, never mind. I thought I shifted into him too. Oh no, there it is. At the end, Jesus Christ. Shifted him in the wall in the end. After grabbing, stealing his ability, shifted him in the wall, explodes. Gets pulled back into. That was kind of evil. Classic trying to just block the shield or the portal. Keeps from their supports from being able to jump through and heal. Grabs that poor guy again, pushes him away. And that's just the defense. I think the offense is where Rogue probably shines more. The shield doesn't even take damage from the Rogue, it only takes damage from the shift. Didn't know that. Interesting. I can't explain that one. That was kind of evil. So bash, right, a shield or shoulder bash into grab, into left click, into shift, into pull the shift, into left click, kick, and they explode. And they didn't even use the projectiles. Jesus. This is actually making me want to go play more Rogue, though, unironically. Use the shield, sorry, not the shift, the shield bash to get close enough to then use the shift to then pull back in. One thing I've noticed from this is you genuinely never fight their tanks unless there's nothing else to do. Like right there's a good example. There was nothing else to do for a couple seconds. The second other things became available, those are the new target. Instantly. Like it doesn't stay for more than like a second or two. Are they gonna bash shift into ult or bash into ult? It catches the invis so she can't ult. That was a good example of a scouted the invis actually early that time, so she wasn't able to ult. So that's what I was kind of talking about on that ult on the defense, where like I think like mid-maxing, you're probably gonna want to just like take a second and look. Oh. That's tough. What was I saying? I was saying words. Early engages onto the Loki to steal the rune. Makes it safe for the dive. Can still pop the rune whenever needed. Doesn't actually need it. Still uses it right at the last second. And then there's their own Loki's rune and trying to desperately escape the CC of doom and gloom. Are they even gonna poke the mag here? They do poke it just with like the bash. Goes for the grab on the Groot to isolate off the tanks from their backline. Good little Groot min-maxers. Oh, it's GR. Yeah, it's death time. Honestly, I feel like that's an ult they probably could have saved one more fight because they were gonna win, but like, I get that you're rolling, you just want to become the server admin for a few seconds, especially as a tank player, you don't get to experience that often. Yeah, I'd do it too. But I think that's another like mid-max thing as you get higher up, like, you know, like when you start watching pro matches next year, I think that's when you probably see like Rogue mid-maxing like for stopping support ults, where like you're saving it for another fight. Holy damage. The hell is behind them, but just chasing down their own invis, but the invis survives long enough to get to the cap ult, and now everyone just plays in freedom. Backs away. I think they look for another engage on their backline again? No, they like just can't. Playing for support ults. But now that the support ults are out, now they could technically if they wanted, right? Steals the mag bubble. Just brawling right now. There's not really a whole lot else to do. Also, this is like one of those rare scenarios where their supports are so far back, it's not worth it. Oh, hang on, I see the vision. Invis ult is coming up, has Rogue ult. They're gonna engage really hard and stop the Invis ult, and that's how they win the next fight. I see the vision. I see it. They saw the invis. I saw her, but she. Oh, he didn't get him. Well, he died. They didn't get the ult off anyways because they backed away. I think there was also a bit of confusion because the Loki was still invis. So when they ulted in here, they saw the invis and they were like, "Oh shit, this is where we stop the ult," and didn't know that it was the Loki clone because like it was literally an invis. Things we learn. You literally almost never frontline at all with Rogue, even if it's the beginning of the fight. There's like no point. You just run past them with their tanks, unless there's literally nothing to do for a second, and you learn your combos. But even so, I feel like Rogue is still like one of those kind of tanks that like, I think you just get more value playing something else currently. But man, when she gets a buff or two in like a season, woo-wee, that's gonna be scary.